Philip, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? What do you do for a living right now?
Hey, I'm a teacher.
What do you teach?
I teach music.
Okay.
Yep. Band director.
Oh, okay. Cool. All right.
So, Duane, I know that our history started a bit ago. Do you mind walking through a little bit? And just want to confirm, Duane, you can see the slides, right?
Yeah, I can see him.
All right, excellent. So if we can, let's start with the first one, man. I really want you to kind of share a little bit about your backstory, what you and your wife both do, and kind of detail a little bit because you guys have a great story, man. So just detail a little bit of kind of walking through why you join Lifestyles.
Well, I guess, a little bit about me and my wife. We started off both as public school teachers. I'm lucky enough to be working at a local university here in Richmond. My wife is still active as a second grade teacher. So we're school teachers, and you know what those salaries are like. So for me, the point at which I had to make a change was, we'd go back and forth and she would ask me for a little bit of money to cover this or that. And then I would go back and ask her for a little bit of money. And that's not okay with me. That's not the life that I envisioned us having. I mean, we both have full-time jobs, Isaac, and that's just that wasn't the lifestyle that we wanted. And I was doing all kinds of crazy stuff. On the slide you can see is like I was looking at the clearance aisle at Walmart, man. I was buying whatever was on clearance and hocking it on eBay and boxing it up.
I'm still a millionaire. I still buy shit at Walmart. Who's with me?
Hey, man. Yeah, brother. Hey, look, but man, I mean, that was a hassle. That's another job. That's a second job. That's not what I needed. I needed some options. So, yeah, man, I stumbled across Lifestyles, listening to Del Wamsley on the radio, and what he was saying made sense because my wife and I, when we got married, we could not sell our house. So we moved and we became accidental landlords. So a lot of what he was saying lined up. But that was just the beginning, Isaac. I mean, yeah, that was the beginning. So
yeah. That's great, man. Your story really means a lot. You got a few kids, right?
Yeah, 2 kids, man, 9 and 7.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. And I love your story because that's really how a lot of times it starts, man. So let's dig into the next slide, everybody. All right. So one of the things I want to point out and let everybody know is, again, so where do you live? I know where you live, but they may not.
Richmond, Virginia.
All right, cool. And the property we're going to look at is where?
That's in Freeport, Texas.
All right, cool. Did you know about Freeport, Texas before you started investing?
Man, let me tell you something. So I had bought the house and it was under rehab, and I still didn't know where Freeport, Texas was, man. I got on the phone with my buddy. I was like, hey, guess what, man? And he lives in Austin. I was like, I just bought a house in Texas, and he goes, let's look it up. He goes, man, that's on the coast. I was like, what? I bought a beach house, man. And I'm ashamed to say that because I probably should have done a little bit more due diligence, but I think it's also, you guys talk about how forgiving real estate is and for this to work out. But yeah, man, I didn't have a clue where Freeport was before I even bought that.
So why did you decide, living in Virginia, and I know you had a little bit of experience just because accidentally, but kind of starting fresh without knowing a whole lot about real estate, why did you decide to do it in Texas and not just kind of go on your own?
All right. So first, don't mistake. I had zero experience. I didn't, just because I owned one real estate house, I had no idea what I was doing. But because the numbers, man, the numbers don't lie. It's math, right? It's simple math. It's like, addition and subtraction and some division. And then, I had mentors. I was working with Joe Flores. I was able to work with you on the back end, I think, of this one and some other stuff. And there's another little secret that nobody really talks about. And everybody on the vendor list that I worked with, we'd start talking about the project, and from the contractor to the realtor to the foundation person. I mean, the guy that cut the grass on the property, they all had real estate investments, single family investments. And I'm like, what? You own real estate too? Like, tell me about that. So, I mean, everybody had some expertise that I could lean on, and that was huge, man. That was reassuring for me, for sure.
Man, that's some good points, bro. I appreciate you digging into that. So let's dig into this property, man. I know that this was quite an undertaking. And again, how many times, like, let me phrase that. You lived in Virginia. Did you move to Texas while all this was remodeled? Did you quit your job and kind of go this way? Tell me about the process, man, because this is just the first picture. I've seen all the pictures. I know what the property looks like.
Yeah.
Man.
So no, I did not move to Texas. I still live in Virginia. This property was brought to me by Moon Kim, who's active in the Houston area. Sends out a lot of properties on the blast, man. He's sending out like tons of real estate out. So then after, it's kind of the same story with the gentleman that spoke just a second ago. I saw some deals. I wasn't tagged early enough. So luckily I got into this property. The numbers look good. I ran, when you do your mentor meeting, your first mentor meeting, they give you some other resources, right? So when you see a property you're interested in, you can kind of self-analyze that, or at least confirm what the realtor sends you. And I needed that. Like I need to trust but verify. So I ran the numbers and I let Moon Kim say, hey, let's do this, man. And Moon, and here's the other thing. Not only did I get the property blast, but he sent me a quote, like a quote for the rehab and the foundation work. So I could insert those numbers and I could call the folks at the general contractor, say, hey, have you visited the property? You know, are these numbers accurate still? And have you actually put eyes on this, or is this a guess? So once they verified, I went ahead and pulled the trigger on this one, man.
Good. And for those that don't know, when you get an email blast, certain actual realtors will go ahead and attach already contractor quotes and foundation, and we teach you how to verify and walk through that. So that's what Duane was here talking about. There was the second picture. We talked about that. Let's walk through the numbers, man. I want you to talk to me through the numbers that you see here.
Well, yeah, you can see the purchase price was $76,000. The rehab was $43,500. And the funny thing, it says appraised value 157. When we initially ran the numbers at the beginning of the deal, the appraised value was only 147. And so through the course of the rehab, when we went back after the rehab was done, and we sent another appraiser out there when we're going to, refinance out of that hard money loan. The appraisal went up $10,000 just through the course of the rehab, 2 months, 10 grand, so that affected the numbers in a very positive way. So my cash out of pocket, 18 grand, that's real. I went back and looked at that again. I was like, is that real? Like only 18,000? Like I bought a house, did a $43,000 rehab, and I only came out of pocket 18 grand. Is that real? Because I want to hold myself accountable. It doesn't do me any good if I'm not accurate with the numbers. And then what you see on the right is 100%. I mean, it was 34 grand equity capture.
Do you see how excited a band director gets when they make 100% return?
Hey man, the return on equity capture was like 190 or 180 some percent. Yeah. That figure is not mentioned there, but when you think about that, like I can't, just a public school teacher can't make 100% return on anything. I mean, shoot, 30% is exciting for me, but to see that on the equity capture was amazing.
Man, you knocked this one out of the park, but you just stopped fun, did you?
No, I did not. So, I mean, my story is sort of like the totality of all the investments. Like we've talked offline a few times, Isaac, but man, on this property, I was able to get in at like a 3.65 interest rate, but I had another property that I had acquired prior to Lifestyles, or sort of in the middle of becoming a member, and I was and it had a higher interest rate. So I used all the knowledge that I gained that you guys provided me. And I said, well, if I can go over here and refinance this property and pull out this equity, man, I can get all my money back out of this deal. And it happened. I don't know how to really speak about it other than that but yeah, that was just the beginning. And it looks like, yeah, these are all the properties. So I just had my 1 year anniversary And it was a trip listening to David Fisher talk earlier in the first segment. I've never met David Fisher, but I love listening to him speak. And, when I went through the initial 2-day and the financial freedom thing and at the beginning, I was one of those skeptical people in the audience, like, come on, like, all right, what are you selling? Let's get to this, But listening to it now, a year after having gone through this, acquired these properties and done some multifamily stuff, it's like he's talking about my life, and it's you guys talk about aha moments all the time, right? And this whole year has been one giant aha moment for me, and I could go on. I could tell you lots of stories, but it's been a big fat aha moment. And I just had another one, just hearing David Fisher talk about all that stuff. Like, it's happening. It happened for me and my family. It's right there. It's real.
I want to dig into one of your aha moments that we talked about earlier this week, that we kind of chat when we're chatting through a different property. But Let's go to the slide, man. You're doing fantastic, man. Your equity gain on all these properties is amazing, and your cash flow is rocking, man. So let's go to the next slide, guys. So this is one thing that I read when we walked through. If you can tell me, can you walk me through the slide a little bit, man?
Yeah, so for my wife and I, we do a lot of soul searching, and I met with a lot of people before joining. I said, am I doing this stuff for the right reasons, man? Am I just greedy, or is my heart in the right place with all this and wanting to do better? So once I sort of did some soul searching, we talked. I was like, we don't want to stop working. Like, we don't want to stop doing music. We don't want to stop tutoring children. We love the kids. I love music. But for me, the difference is I want to be able to call the shots, how I do my music, where I do my music. In education, it's become so politicized, right? So there's half the job is not even teaching, man. Half the job is CYA, do this paperwork so you don't get sued. And that all detracts from helping kids, right? So we want to be able to do what we want to do, when we want to do it, how we want to do it. My hobby is scuba instructor, man. I haven't been diving in a year. I'd like to be able to do that. I'd like to be able to volunteer at church, man, be able to volunteer and, with hungry kids. That's just something that's important to us.
Yeah, you're immune to COVID, just so you know, when you're scuba diving.
Say that again?
You're immune to COVID while you're scuba diving. It's okay. You can go out there.
So yeah. We're very distanced.
We're going to go to one more slide, and then I want to talk about what we talked about early this week. Next slide, guys. Please. So I see the same slide there. You? Oh,
you want the next slide, Isaac?
Yes, please. All right, cool. We're going to talk about your goals, and then I want you to talk to me about the aha moment that you had with your CPA earlier this week.
Man, my goals have been fluid. At the beginning, I didn't even know what my goals were. I just knew that I wanted to get started. I knew that I wanted to buy a single family home. And through that process, I would learn more. Once I started to apply the concepts and the teachings, man, this thing started to get real. It started to accelerate quickly. And my wife is like, hey, you got to slow down. I was like, no, sir. I know what we're going to keep going. As long as we have the ability to do so and the resources to do so, there's no reason for us to do that. But now I can say short-term goals. I'm just refinancing out of my fourth single family, like this coming week. I want to buy one more. My long-term goals, I think I've come to a place where I want to definitely become a independent rental owner and or a lead investor. And I'm working on just trying to get better at evaluating multifamily deals. And I'm working with some of the national mentors, Nicole I think she's out of Michigan, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So she I'll practice, I'll send her something, she'll shoot it back. So that aligns with my long-term goals, Isaac.
Great job, man. And I love seeing that. So let's talk about your the week that you had when you went to your tax preparer, your CPA, man.
Man, you're talking about aha moments. And like I said,
this now he's excited. He's talking about taxes. He's peeing his pants excited.
Dude, look, man, we got to the end of that. We just had our taxes done last week, and And I said, this is going to be perfect timing. I called Isaac the next day. I was like, Isaac, you're not going to believe this, man. My rebate on my taxes more than doubled. It doubled, man. And I didn't make any more or less money. It just doubled. My
No,
tax.
you made an extra 15 grand in cash flow, and you got back a rebate. God bless the IRS. Who's with me?
Well, I'm excited about next year already because there's some acquisitions that happened just after the new year that weren't on this year's. It'll kick in next year, so I'm excited about next year already. But this guy, he's sitting across from me asking me questions like, give me your W-2, how much did you spend here, there, and then he starts to ask other types of questions that didn't have to do with my return. I'm kind of scratching my head, looking at my wife, like, hey, where's he going with all this? At the end of the session, he goes, man, you're either lucky or you're getting some great education. And he didn't know anything. He doesn't know anything about what I'm doing with lifestyles. And we did not discuss that.
Did he think it was a swingers club?
Man, I don't know what he thought. You know what? I cease to be surprised with the world today. So, but man, he was awesome. I mean, and we were throwing language around. We started talking about taxes and 1031. And, then I felt like, man, I'm having another language here that I did not understand a year ago. Mm-hmm. And it was affirmation for me. Any skepticism I had was immediately erased, and my wife as well. Her aha moment was when I asked her, and I was considering coming on, I said, hey, Leanne, what's been your aha moment? And she said, the fact that I haven't negatively felt the impact. Like she, in her mind, when she thought we'd be throwing financial resources at these properties, that in her mind equated to, I'm going to have less to live on. And the opposite is true. It has only had positive effects on our financial situation, obviously. And I've talked to local lenders here in Richmond, Virginia, that are hard money. And another aha moment 2 weeks ago, I was looking at some properties, and the guy says, how come you're doing it this way and not that? And I said, well, because blah, 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 blah. And he goes, I never thought of that. That's really smart. And it's a basic concept that you guys teach in the 2-day. And here I am giving the hard money guy on something else to think about. And so that was a huge aha moment. And that stuff happened all year, Isaac, all year, man.
Great job, man.
Cool.
I'm proud of you, man. You've been doing real good, bro.
I appreciate you guys, man. I mean, you make it fun, but the mentors, man, you can't do it without the mentors, you and Joe and Nicole. It's just been amazing.
Yeah, man. So let's quickly run through, and then from there, David, you can take over. Okay. Talk about who's on your team, the realty, and the vendors you used.
Man, my team is growing all the time. It's like I said, Joe Flores and Isaac are the national mentors, and it's been great getting to know those guys, and their help is invaluable. Both of my properties there in the Houston area, I got from Moon Kim. One was a property blast. One was direct contact. So I reached out to Moon. I said, hey, I got a little bit of money. Excuse me. Can you help me out?
Don't worry, guys. When he coughs, it is not COVID. It's tuberculosis. It's okay.
Yeah, and it's only here in Richmond, so nobody has to worry.
Yeah.
Blue Star Construction did the rehab on both my properties, and Melissa and Merlin are great. Super. I mean, the communication's excellent, and their work is amazing. I've used Red Door Funding and Longhorn, actually. I hope it's okay that I mention them.
Sure.
Those guys have been amazing. Gateway, Lord, I got to be on their Christmas card list. I've done so many, at this point, refis and with them. So, and I know that one of the reps is in there. So Kurt Kephardt's been amazing to work with. And they're on the conventional side. And Gateway's licensed here in Virginia, so which is why they're getting a lot of my business being out of state. And then, Longhorn, there it is. I see it. Longhorn and AMP. So all those guys have been awesome. There hasn't been a vendor that I've spoken to and worked with that hasn't been very patient and open and been able to like coach me and also tell me like when the deals are not good. Right. I've had some of them say, yeah, this one doesn't really work. So great. We'll move on.
Yep. So we're going to take a couple questions from the crowd for you guys. But really quick, I want to answer one of the questions I saw online from Cammie. She said the numbers aren't adding up. You had like $40,000 for the rehab, but your cash out of pocket's like $18,000. That doesn't make sense. How can it only be 18? Guys, When you come to my seminar this weekend, I'm going to explain how we do that step by step. The first loan is called a hard money loan. It's a specialized lender. They're going to lend you all the money to buy the property, plus all the money to fix it up. So in other words, they're going to give you the $40,000 to fix it up. They don't give it to you up front. You can go out there and be a crackhead with it. They hold it back, but as your contractors do the work, you get what's called draws. So they do $10,000 worth of work, then they sit there and they send you to $10,000, then you pay your contractor. So you're not floating that money. Everybody understand that? So that was just a quick version. Cammie, I can't go through every step of the way how we do that. That takes me 16 hours a seminar to do that. But just so you know, those are real numbers, okay? So anybody in the room want to have a question first off? Anybody? There's one right there. I'm going to get some exercise. Hold on. Here you go. Okay.
Being out of state, how are you able to manage rehabs from, I don't know, 16,000 miles away?
All right, so what
Sir, 1,784.
I simply get into when I establish contact with and I sign the contract with the general contractor. I say what I'd like to have is I would like to have photos. I want to be able to, as you complete something, demo or otherwise, I need a photo. And if there's something that they're not supplying, I'll call, in this case with Blue Star, call Melissa and say, hey, Melissa, can you send out a message? Like I need a picture of this angle, of this side, or of this spot on the floor next to the tub. And I'm very specific, and they're more than happy to do that. I mean, that's especially with cell phones these days. They can just snap a picture and send it to you. I also have my realtor. So I've got a lady down there that helps me screen tenants and show the house. I don't want to fly to Houston and show the house. So I'll say, hey, can you take a picture of the bathroom, a nice wide shot? I want to see the tub. I want to see the siding on the front left corner of the house. I want you to take a picture of the stickers on the back of the HVAC so I can see the serial numbers. And so anything that I need a picture of, they're more than happy. And that's what we pay them for. So it's a team.
And guys,
right?
I want you to think about this. Ever since COVID, everything's been done virtually. Who agrees? Yeah. I mean, your kids are being taught virtually. I mean, it sucks, but you know what I'm saying, right? So we've learned to do everything virtual. So it's very common. Is it any difference if you're across town and you're not going to go visit the property anyways because you look at pictures, or if you're 1,784 miles away? It's the same thing. Great question, though.
Yeah.
Okay, I have another one in the room. Hold on. This guy's from Reading. I remember him. He was in my seminar a little while ago. Go ahead, Travis.
So have you actually ever been to Texas ever? I'm just curious.
I have a friend that lives in Austin, so I've been to Austin twice.
No, have you been to your property is what they're really asking.
Oh my God, no, I've never seen them. I only have keys to these things.
He's never been there.
Yeah, I'm ashamed to say I have not. I was telling Isaac, Isaac, I'm sorry, man. I don't even have a key to the first one. And but
give him the hand. That's how it should be. The numbers tell the story. No emotions. Okay, we'll take one more online because we already did one online.
All right, one question from Gigi, and they were asking if he used the tax guy through LU, one of the vendors.
Used the what?
Taxes from one of the vendors.
Oh, did you do taxes with an LU vendor or somebody in Virginia?
Somebody in Virginia that we've been using for years.
Did they play the banjo?
No, man. The mouth harp, yeah, not the banjo though.
Okay. Hey guys, thank you so much for sharing your story. I hope you inspired some of the new folks, especially the folks online. They're out of state. They know they can do it because they see both your examples, the same thing. Thank you so much, guys. Appreciate it.
Great job, Duane.
Yep.
Thanks, man.